I am Eon. It is Sunday, October 12th, 2025. As I record, it's time to look ahead at SciFi and what's coming out in the month of October, or what has come out, rather. For our second Dynasty, we have starport modular seating. You know, where do people wait before they board a spaceship? As well as a floor galaxy grate. There's a Rocky Flats border as well, and then the Magnetron that can be used with magnets or what have you, and a lot of fun to build. In addition, there's the Mesmer, claws replaced with engines, and the cockpit is now a spacious 2x2 grid forge area. 3D Art Guy has released all of this, and I'll be honest, some of it kind of confuses me a little bit because some of it's kind of similar. But here's Dark Prince. He comes with a few different poses, as well as weapon choices and even head options, as you can see here. Now, he's very similar, I thought, to these, the Terror Troops, which have various things, you know, hanging from them and different ways you can put these together. And then over on the right, you can see a heavy armored Terror Troop, which is a loyalty reward. So very similar there. Here is kind of a what-if model, a Reaper from an alternative universe. You know, what if roles, you know, universes where big names switch roles, and this is what you'd get for the Reaper. So the Reaper is here, and he has a couple of different poses, as well as this pretty cool diorama as well. So, I don't know, I was kind of interested to see. This is a Space Elf Warrior, basically the same thing, but as well as something else that is called a Harryanago. I'm not familiar with the term, but apparently it is based in the real world. And these are space elves that follow the teachings of the giant-haired one. Admiral Apocalypse, I don't really have anything to show you, but we're supposed to see Moonforge ruins, so I'm really curious to see what those look like when those appear. Aether Studios had a little bit of science fiction modern stuff here with a Metro. So pretty cool stuff here. Looks a little ruined perhaps, but would be good for maybe, you know, some of your more modern games or things like that. Tycho City Enforcers over there on the right. There's the Kondaris class Great Mech. Wow, the weapons on that thing. And then the Space Sharks on sand scooters. Aftermath Studios, as best I can tell, this is their October release. These survivors of sorts here. As well as this was listed as October extras. So you kind of got Ash as well. 3 poses of Ash as a Deadite, and then 4 Deadite models. Anvil Digital Forge has given us this preview of these Hellkin Demonic Incursion, as well as some Trench Pioneers that will be released as loyalty rewards. Here is the actual full release of the Hellkin Legion. You can see there's multiple different heads, and of course bodies and legs. I thought the legs were kind of interesting to see their feet. But, you know, lots of ways these guys can be put together. In addition, there's these Brody Armored Pioneers that come in several different places. Now, they do have still they are moving over to My Mini Factory. So if you want to support Anvil Digital Forge on My Mini Factory, for the month of October, you can get in for $14 a month, which is $2 savings off of the $16 a month as well. So maybe worth checking out if you have been supporting Anvil Digital Forge or want to support them going forward. Get in for a little bit on the cheap side. This is a bonus for the all-in tier on My Mini Factory. These are Trench Raiders for this month. Just to show you some of the different options of how these guys can be put together. Arcane Whiskers has put out for the Cadet tier the Unseelie Ritual Dagger from the Solomon Foundation Lab. For the next high tier Squad Leader, there's the Void Touch and the Yuri, the Hive Devil and the Void Horror, as well as the Hanged, and this is Summer Vulpathian and an Unseelie Sniper. For the highest tier Mission Commander, you get the Solomon Foundation Lab, as well as Infested Station Pack, and the Asphodel Forest Terrain. Archvillain Games in science fiction is doing Morior Invictus, or Invictus, Vendetta Battalion. Vendetta, that sounds like revenge. My philosophy is if the movie is about revenge, it's a good movie. Vendetta Deathmark. Looks like a two-person Strider. Here's a Vendetta Linebreaker and Vendetta Annihilator. Here's a Pathseeker and Vendetta Warstrider 1. And Warstrider 2. There's Vendetta Aquila Helljumper. Aquila Jumper 1 and 2. And they usually give you multiple sculpts of these characters. All of them, of course, dynamic action poses. This is an Iron Wall, and they come with two options. One with shield and one with the shield with the 7 dots on it. And the weapon choice changes as well. I'm sure there's a reason for the extrusions there that I just didn't go into detail about, but and then a few more Iron Walls as well. Here is a Vendetta Shield Bearer and a Vendetta Trauma mod. So I guess that is a medic of some sort. Atlan Forge has given us Demon War Machine. Has a couple of weapon options, as well as a couple of head options too. Angelic Ranged Veterans have several different loadouts. 3 legs, 5 torsos, 5 heads, 5 shoulders, and 5 backpacks, and several different arms. There are more than enough configurations that you can put these guys together. Battlecat Miniatures is showing us Ancient Warfare. For Horse and Musket, looks like we have some supply lines with donkeys. And a casket for World War II. A couple of planes and a downed plane. For Grim Wars, we have all of this that's been released. A lot of it's fantasy this month. So for Grimdark Future, we have the Federation Dominion combat suit and some Federation paratroopers. The Lords of Nightmares in Destroyer armor, as well as the Lord of Nightmares Demonic Lord. Beyond Space has put out what I believe these are the October releases. I could be wrong. Bloodforged Hell Knight, Narez III, the Bloodforged Legion, and as I was putting these videos together this weekend, the Bloodforged Hell Knight Slayer loadout. Claudio Casini Art usually has at least one science fiction model, and that, of course, is the Sci-Fi Ninja. Custom Miniature Maker is mostly fantasy modern right now. Look at that with nuclear power plants and fences. So there's 2 options for the nuclear power plant, one with a crack, one without. The fencing has lots of signage, and it's really cool, I thought, to see the wiring that they did to add the barbed wire effect. I do know you can actually buy model barbed wire for model railroads and use that instead if that matters to you, but I think it still gets the same effect across. Some ruined playground equipment that's seen better days, and some signage that you can put around various places. Just generally useful. For the monthly texture rollers, they have, first off, Overgrown Cracked Concrete, Broken Ceramic Tiles, a Warehouse Wall, which with other cutters you can cut out doors and then actually put support pieces on the sides to support the wall and have it stand up. There's Industrial Site, and I put this in the fantasy video. I really like this roller. I like the the jagged edges and so forth of the cracked road. I think that's just a really cool looking effect. These are concrete panels, which could possibly be used in fantasy, but you know, it has a little bit too much of a straight line for anything natural. Cyberforge has put out Grim Realms and Titan City Stories. For Grim Realms, you have the Legion of Slaughter. There's the Avatar of Slaughter. Bloodblades on Goresteed. Bloodblades, just not on Goresteeds. For Titan City Stories, they've got a lot going on here. They call it Bright. Here is a Shataro on bike. Here's Shima, and Shima evolved. So apparently he has some sort of superpower, or he can turn his cybernetic arm into something bigger. Here's Shataro, so not on his bike. And here's a military unit. Those are just generic good troops. Here's a gun platform. One of the most interesting vehicles, I think, for a police total. Here's some civilians. Why are they masked up with cocktails? Molotovs. Here's some terrain, various sandbags and barricades, just generic useful stuff, and some bases as well to round out Cyberforge's October release. Dakka Dakka has put out October release. They always release so many various things. Here's the Anchorites Web Striders. These are monopose models, meaning you don't put them together. And then there's a build kit for the same thing over on the right, so you do put those together. Here's Space Layer Fighters Squad. These are monopose, or you can have them as a build kit as well. Parlous Hermits modular set. Xenu the Spirit Holder, and a Space Layer Defender Squad up at the top. Midnight Sun Covenant, we have Marduk Tribe Deflesher and Marduk Tribe Prey Tracer. These are monopose. And then for the Titan of Mankind, we have the Big Destructa and Big Breaka. I'm not usually all that tempted to get the Titan of Mankind tier, but this month, maybe. And if you have been with them for at least 2 months, you get the Ecclesiastical Envoy. Dungeons and Dreadnoughts has shown us their Necrospawn. I do like the weapon options on these guys. These are a little bit different than normal. I guess you can give them a hand. Okay. And then, of course, the really cool vehicle there. And then just a few more slightly different models. A little bit heavier armor. And then we have Godzilla, along with some pretty cool terrain. I really like the effect of that portal. And then they had some other models, and I was starting to get confused as far as this goes, but I put these in as well. I do believe this is part of their release, or maybe an addition for the month. It is Orktober, and a lot of people like to do orcs. Edge Miniatures, we have the full release there. We have Dark Trickster Squadrons for the Tech Pirates 8mm over on the right. And then for the Skyborn Scavengers 8mm, we have Beast Riders and Battlesuits. For Tech Pirates, we have Dark Trickster's Kill Team and various accessories for them. These are at the 28mm size. And Skyborn Empire, we have some additions for them as well as the Battlesuits. 8-Leg Miniatures has Wolf Riders. These come with several head options and weapon options and wolves and so forth. I wasn't able to actually show it all in the time that we have here. So Chaos, I wasn't sure what else to call with this, but we have this guy here, as well as some shoulder pads. They refer to it as beats for Chaos. I'm not quite sure I get the reference there. Filamentio has put out this pyramid tank, And I think there's some more stuff coming. They just don't have the models released just yet. They said they wanted to get into some other factions. So Forbidden Prince is doing Demon Gate terrain. Lots of options here. Now, Ghamak, we're going to look through what they've released before as preview art, but they haven't released a whole lot just yet because they are one of several creators that have been targeted by certain companies that feel that they are the only player in town. And I don't know how else to really say about that, but go check out Ghamak's page if you're interested in finding out more about it. They are doing a GoFundMe as they choose to try and hopefully fight back, because a lot of these things do kind of almost cross over, but some I don't know, you know, I don't need to say anything more. And if you don't know, just send me an email and we can talk. But chances are you know more about it than I do. These are corrupted Ogroids and corrupted Commissar. So we'll see if any of that comes through. Golden Dragon Games has put out this release for October. Cavalry Bikers and Palomino Half-Track and a Raccoon Reconnaissance Car. M3 Desion is doing, these are called Scorn, I believe. Yes, Scorn. And these are compatible with Trench Crusade. KMFP Designs is looking at doing all of this for the month of October. Right now we do see the Metal Marauders, and this is a pretty neat setup here. You can put this together in multiple ways. Kyoushuneko Miniatures a little bit behind, but they have given us some preview art of what they're hoping to deal with in October. It's still a bit early to see Loot Studios Fantasy release, just a few more days, but then we should see Bumpier Night with Murderous Tomatoes and Mr. Prince, the writer. Maybe one day he'll be a king. Willie, the possessed animatronic. Is he a rat or a possum? Scipio, the cannibal. Scipio? And more. Lost Heresy Miniatures has these Napoleonics that they're doing, as well as these spacesuits. I wasn't sure what to call them. I didn't write that down. And then they did have some undead. The Maker's Cult is really moving things around as they move over into my mini factory and start their tribe there. This is part 1 for October. These are Universal Guard war suits. I wasn't sure what to call these, so I didn't even try. I believe this is the Trek Pard flame tank. And again, I wasn't sure what to call these. This is Tars and Case, obviously made famous from the movie Interstellar. Pretty cool to be able to print these out and have these to play around with as needed. Obviously using magnets here, as intended. They have these weapon platforms, and apparently some bikes as well this month, and some, what would you call these, like miniature tanks? This is the Iron Hive Harbinger. Regimental Super Heavy. And a quarter-scale Quixote. They also are planning for Daughters of War, Constantia the War Mistress. Mantic Vault in October is releasing all of this. Probably a few less miniatures than normal for Mantic, but we're getting basically several Asterian Kalishi. And you're also getting a Spectra, which is a little bit bigger than normal model. Marchen Atelier has given us this image of everything, and I have been told that a lot of this is inspired by some of the Studio Ghibli movies that I have not watched and that I need to watch. So definitely need to check those out. Here's Karam Kazi, a Rust Bunker. Couple, that's the front and the back. Here's Farina the Moonchild. And Dune Shini Tubal Canate Rustcraft Miniature. Pretty neat effects as always. Modern Miniatures is continuing with SWAT teams. This is SWAT Team Bravo. Notice the breaker here has a battering ram. Here is another breacher that has a saw. The sniper before was sitting. This one is kneeling. These are FPV drones, and I wasn't sure what that was at first. I think it means first-person view. These are commercial drones. This is a K-drone with launch trailer. There's a couple of different warhead options for it. This is the head with the FPV goggles, so the first-person view goggles. There is a computer set that you can put in your workshop for your SWAT team to break in and, you know, collect. Or maybe there was a company and some people were making some illegal 3D printed things and they were using that in their workshop. And of course, they need a place to work, so here's the workshop in general. Over on Tribes, you can get a Special Forces SUV that is made to go even underwater with the snorkel there, if you notice the side on it. I wasn't sure I didn't realize what that was till I saw them read it. Moid has put out Jackal RST Remote Mech. Mr. Modulork has got 16 releases this month. We've got at least 5 of them up already. Here's Boss Black Grab. Here are Moot Gobs with Pistol. He's got 3 arms. Here is Muta Shouta. Muto Orcs. Each of them with 3 arms. Here is Anga Boy. This is the model available for the free tier. And then for level 6, you have the Wreck Terrain. So there's lots of different pieces here. We're not going to look at all of them. There are about 20 different pieces. But just to kind of give you an idea of the things that you can put together to build that. Nate Feyma has given us an early look at Strider Cavalry. One Page Rules is doing Grimdark Future Warfleets. This is the Marauders. And there's the introductory pack and what you're getting now with that. Notice that they are doing Goblin Reclaimers now. So I don't know if this is... I guess this is a Orc adjacent team. And I wasn't sure what to call these. I believe these are Bikers. These could be Biker Champs. These are Shooter Mobs. And Commandos. As well as some bases. There are some delays in getting all the goblin creatures out, and they will release those more soon. Oshouna Miniatures has put out this release here. Here we see the flight. I think the drones, I guess those are drones, is a really cool effect there to show how they're hanging out. Seeing the digital shields around the models here is really neat too. Papsikels is constantly releasing and re-releasing and adding more to everything they do here. Here is Sheet Post, and I'm told that a lot of this is from the show Alien Earth that I've started watching, but I haven't gotten very far into just yet. Private Sean Keegan. These are Fly Acid Pukers. See, when I heard Alien Earth, I thought it was like a made-up documentary. Like, what if we had aliens here on Earth? Or like, what would wildlife be like? No, it's alien. But they've come to Earth, apparently. Scorpio Crab. Here are some Democracy Troopers. Sterilizer, Heavy Weapon, Lots of different weapon options. A Guardian, Plumacare container. Here's a Chief Security Officer. Again, I think he's from Alien Earth. Now that that's been pointed out to me, I'm starting to see that. So thank y'all for correcting me. Powered Armor Space Medics. These are, of course, inspired by StarCraft. Just really nice models. This is why I'm with Papsikels for now. It's not for the alien stuff, it's for the StarCraft stuff. More security officers and COs and Scorpo crabs and all that stuff. And then they dropped this on me. Wow. Okay. Merged High Templar. So this is their vision of an Archon. Impressive. Here we see Recto Witchburner General and an Anointed Heavy Flamer of Brutality. And of course, when I went looking today, I was able to find the Cyberpunk release as well. And disappointed, I was not. Cyber Silksong and Cyber Hollow Knight. I've seen a few releases of this recently. Did they just release a new game or something? It's been around a while, I thought. Hyper Papsinoid Billfinger. CEO's personal bodyguard. I like the nonchalant stance there. And then Cobra Battle Android Troopers. We have bats. Yes, so not just the StarCraft stuff, but also the G.I. Joe Cobra stuff. Keeps me here. And here we have some Demon Hunters. Here's Mira. And Rumi. And Zoe. Renegade Battle Droid Mercenary Unit. Rubio Omniculus. Yes. Piper makes, I'm not exactly sure what to call it because their titles are so long. Version 2 Osteos Assault Class Void Frame. So all of these pieces here you can put together and make things like this. In addition, they have a re-release of the Guppy Drones. Print Minis has put out the Grimdark Zombie Gang. We'll look at a couple of them. We're not going to look at all of them because they're all right there in that one picture. There's also Queen Lihana 2, the zombie leader. In addition, there's the Sanctum Rustica, for Purifier gang. And there's just the church tower that goes on top of that. Printerra Studios has put out Elder Opera General and Elder Moon Pillar. So I guess like an old moon. Elder Winged Scourge and Neuroluctarian Goddess. Wonder if I said that right. Elder Moon Snipers and Temple Wall Bases. An old Horus Circuit. Dragon Relief Base. Swarm Priestess. Oh, wow. Okay, so this thing apparently has a case of mummy butt. Lictarian Priestess. Bad case of rot, probably. Project Mobius here. We're continuing with the hangar. The medium assault spaceship, common section, and command section. So I think it was pointed out to me that this is being released in parts over the months. And control tower. Proxybrewer has put out Ceremonial Guard, Infantry Building Kit. PS Miniatures has the Divine Order Shield Maiden Volume 2. Red Pilgrim Miniatures has put out this image. Again, it's Orktober, so I don't think there was any commentary really with it. RedMakers Adeptus Miniatures has put out part 1 of their release for the month. Here's the Red Dune Regiment Squad. There's the Disciplinator Imperial Guard. Hopefully you don't need a spanking here. And I mean, just the size of that glove, that's what I'm getting at here. It's a huge power fist. Or power glove. Or, yeah, power glove. Was it that thing for the Nintendo way back when? Heavy Dwarves Kill Squad. Risen Voth has been apparently working on this Colossus for a while. I think it's still working for October as well. RPG Figures has Commander Keller. Skullforge Studios has shown us Breach Troopers and Gambit's Edge, Smoka and Jast Halligan. And then some Starhawk pilots and a Starhawk starfighter for them to pilot. Soldiers of Humankind has put out this preview of Defenders of Megapolis. The reinforcements are on their way. Now, will it be this month? We'll see. Station Forge has put out their Recycle tier, and it's all orcs. Naturally, there are Dragon Bombers, Skull Crushers, Infantry, Mobster, and Grand Nutta. All 5 releases worth $76. You get it just for $6. Techno Savage Barbarians is the first release for October here. This guy is not even half human anymore, is he? And this guy just reminds me of the classic Hero Quest model. Now, STL Miniatures is fantasy-based, but they are doing a Kickstarter pretty soon, in just a few days, for 1002 sci-fi bits and props. There are 10 models for free now that you can go check out if you so wish. Traders Galaxy Miniatures and Games has shown us Steel Hyenas Peak Part 3 and Mercs Part 1. And for Rise of the Democracy, Clash in the South. Tixarli Factory has put out these orcs again. Have to laugh at the orcs, and I like the character of all these orcs. Every one of them could easily have been a famous orc in history that has now been immortalized on the side of rocks. Ugly Mini is continuing with Infected Colonies Part 3, and I can't help but look at this and think Mantic's Plague. Here's Infected Leader. Corrupted Beasts. Were those bears, maybe? An attack buggy that has obviously been corrupted. A combat walker. Infected vultures. I guess if you're eating dead things that are infected, you'd get infected too, right? Zombies. And some weapons teams. It's always interesting to see when creators think about the ecologies of the worlds they create. Or maybe that's what they did. I don't know. Unit 9 is doing Voodoo Posse this month. Here we see Shanice Morgan, aka Bluefire. This is a Flash GT. Notice it has a person in the back. Here's Jamal Thompson, aka Ghostlight. Next to Kamala Wright, Dub Witch. Would that be like WWITCH? Skull Hunter. There's Orlando Johnson, the Street Prophet. There's also some street lamps, as well as some gaming mats that you can print off on a non-3D printer. Velrock, unfortunately, September 20th, his grandfather passed away, and so the things are a little bit in flux for him, and he asked for some kit bashes from his patrons, and they kind of put together some old models, and they put stuff together here and put this out, and that was the release for this month. But hopefully things will get back to normal soon for Velrock, and my condolences for your loss. Vermilion Miniatures has given us these previews here. Don't think we've seen the actual full release just yet, but I always like these models. They're kind of more modern than futuristic, but still really cool. War Games Atlantic has shown us this list of things we should be expecting in October. Still pretty early in the month, so we have these guys here. And these, I believe these were called the Continentals. I mean, they look like Minutemen with that hat. Here is the Spanish Civil War Foreign Legion command set. This was an early work in progress picture that was released. And here is the more final release image. War Games Crew has put out these skeletons to kind of fit the theme of October. I thought they were fantasy at first, but then I was like, oh, compatible with Trench Crusade, that would be science fiction. They also have these hollowed pumpkin people as well that you can put. It's just some fun models that you can use. War Games exclusive has Chaos Prime the Death Lord, Necro Cyborg Crypt Keeper, Lightside Howling Blades Exarch in Bones. So I guess bone armor. Orc Grot Corpses. I approve. Only good goblin is a dead goblin, says the dwarf in me. Ah, looky, he got ran over. War Machine. We have Crucible Guard, Railless Interceptor, and Ira McKay. Okay. And then a bunch of terrain, quite a lot of terrain. Crucible Guard Terrain Pack, a Refinery, Crucible Guard Base Toppers, Boiler Core Generator, Twin Arc Reactor, a Shack, an Acid Vat, looks like it's billowing smoke, Scatter Lanterns, Scatter Cranes, Scatter Tool Rack, a Hill. I actually skipped over a couple of small things. A couple of just obstacles. And then we had Dark Operations Stygius, Dark Operations Overlords, and Signar Gravediggers Captain Buck Hasker Ghost Dogs variant. So that seems to be the release from War Machines. More terrain this month than models, and that seems to be the release for everyone in science fiction so far. Science fiction, of course, always expands throughout the month. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.